welcome to the Final Bell. It's great to have you with us for another week. We are proudly presented by GMHBA, the official health insurance partner of the Geelong Cats. Great to have them on board throughout this entire season. Great to have Meg McDonald on board every single week. Hello, Meg.
Hey, Lingy. Good morning.
Great to see you. We're going to talk all things that game on Friday night.
Yeah.
It's okay. Still plenty of things to get out of that game. We will get to some listener questions a little bit later on, and then we will start looking ahead towards the game after the bye. My big question, I suppose, for you as we dive straight into it,
let's go.
is did you do a memo?
Oh, yeah. I got some feedback. Got some feedback in the Joel Selwood stand at the very end of the game. Oh, mate Palmer said, I don't want to hear it this week. I was like, okie dokie.
Nice direct feedback, sure.
Look, I did a few more after this one, but yeah, two points in for Brisbane, and I said this.
Early in the game.
She's gone early, and she knew she shouldn't have, as you'll be able to hear.
This is me not doing a voice note about Brisbane set shots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so if ever I thought, people are like, oh, your own superstition doesn't play into it. I mean, clearly it does.
Yeah,
it does.
So that was at 0 goals 2, did you say?
That was at 0 goals 2, pre-50-metre penalty, pre-Geelong's
so they
attempt at kicking it through the two big six instead of the one little one and one big one.
So they kicked 14 goals 6 after that point in time.
They did,
And we kicked 6 goals 15.
Yeah.
Okay, good. No, I search.
Done. And see you next week.
I search for answers sometimes as to why we win or lose, and we've just received the answer. It is all your fault.
Yeah, but even at that point, the signs weren't great.
No. It was certainly a rough night at the footy. We don't need to tell our listeners that. I thought the Brisbane Lions were excellent, by the way.
What are you going to do? They're pretty good.
They are a really good team, and I think they reminded the competition how deep their midfield bats, some quality players. There's a reason why they are the reigning premiers and a couple of grand finals in a row. They were very, very good. And I think Chris Scott was really good in his press conference after the game, saying, yeah, we weren't good tonight. We didn't play well. But I think reading between what he was saying was we are still a very good football team, and we have played really good football throughout this season, and it was an off night.
Yeah, no doubt. It's funny, Brisbane have a bunch of players who rightly or wrongly get criticised, I think, in the media a bit for their inconsistency. And yet when they're good, when they're all on, they are... Yeah, that's like globetrotter kind of footy. And there were certainly passages of play, I'm thinking the sort of kick-in goal where they just looked unstoppable. But I obviously tend to agree with Chris Scott. I'm sitting in the crowd, and it's funny when you're having one of those games where people around you are really feeling it. They're like, oh, no. And I'm sitting there going, oh, well, they're really good. We're just doing some stuff that we don't usually do. We're missing kicks that usually come off, and... Such is footy.
And players who are very good kicks of the football, elite kicks of the football, under the highest pressure. We've seen them play in preliminary finals, grand finals, win premierships with their beautiful field kicking. Had a bad night as far as kicking goes. I don't think they mind me saying that because they would admit that. No. We spoke with Reece Stanley after the game on radio, and Reece was brilliant in the way he was able to articulate the ball movement stuff, the kicking stuff. He said, we were hesitant. And we're not normally. So many times Geelong players got the ball a little wide and then looked inboard. Yeah. And the player who they maybe wanted to give the ball to was open and as often is the case on this ground, only for about half a second. You need to pull the trigger straight away and hit that kick. They looked, hesitated, and then, actually I will go there. But by then it was already telegraphed, and a Brisbane player was already moving to it and shutting that one down, and that's how Brisbane were able to get those great turnovers. The instinctiveness of the just bang, hit that kick wasn't quite there, and then that has a flow-on effect of, others become a little hesitant, and maybe that player's not as open as they were a second ago, therefore the kicks look even worse than what the kick might have looked, and you get a scenario that happens on Friday night where Brisbane take advantage of it.
Totally. I think we've said it before, the difference between looking unbelievable. I'm thinking of the one, and whether it was before or after this that the hesitancy sort of came in, but when Grind tried to pull it across his body, and not only across the body, literally at a 90-degree angle into the corridor where there were 2 to 3 Geelong players, but Wilmot just gets
Wilmot,
in,
wasn't it? Yeah, yep.
and he kicks the goal, and that point at like above 20 points towards the end of the first quarter. Mate, if that kick comes off, which 90% of the time it does, we're like, grind's the best thing since sliced bread. That was unbelievable. No one else in the game can do that. And he didn't necessarily miss the kick, but Brisbane were ready for it.
Yeah, and they were. And I thought Brisbane were brilliantly well prepared, and they were up for the game. And so I give full credit to them. I also say that we were a little bit off. And when you're playing a really good team like the Brisbane Lions, a little bit off ends up with a 41-point margin. It's just a fact of life. It's certain teams are so good when they're on, and if you're a touch off, only a touch off, then that margin can widen a little bit. I would hope and trust and certainly have total belief in this group next time we play them. The game's a different one. Now, Brisbane are probably feeling pretty good about the way they play against the Cats in the last 3 occasions. I get that. I understand that.
Oh, don't worry though, Lingy. I was sitting on the ferry to Sorrento, had a girls' weekend with my school friends on Saturday night, and there was a family like next to me passionately debating the game, right? And the son, it was, bless him, he was saying to his dad, no, we don't match up poorly against Brisbane. We're great. We're good against Brisbane. But yeah, look, they've won the last 3 against us, but we don't match up badly against them. If we lose 4, that's when we match up badly against them. Oh, that was interesting logic, mate. All good, but I'll take it.
I love that. I love the dissecting of the game from the fans.
Yeah.
And a lot
he still had full kit on the Saturday. I was like,
brilliant.
respect, mate. Sorry, I cut you off, but that just made me laugh.
It was, and I mean, I know Geelong fans felt this. It was a shame to not be able to have the incredible game and incredible win to, Paddy Dangerfield's 350th game. There was still it was a lovely week of acknowledgement of a great player, I think, across the league. Everyone acknowledging that, the 100-game milestone of Tyson Stengel as well. Certainly all as well to give a little bit of love before we head to the break soon.
Oh, yes, so let's talk about it.
Tom Atkins, who was just superb in the middle of the ground, against an overwhelming force of how good that Brisbane midfield is and how deep they bat. Tom Atkins just was relentless in the quality of footy.
Like he just got, he's an absolute battering ram. You walk past him in the corridors and you think, I would have said this before, he's not a massive guy. But it's all about the intent with him, and he's unreal. They had some key forwards go to town, but Jack Henry's fantastic. I think I was listening to the commentary back. It's the first game we've lost since he's been back in the team. We'd won five straight since he was back in. So
it's a good shout out because you look at it, you think, oh well, Logan Morris has kicked 5 and Rayner's 3. The forward line's kicked a winning score. I thought Jack Henry was superb.
Oh my gosh, he's so good. I thought the back line in general, lots of them had good moments. They had to defend some, as we've said, interesting turnovers that wouldn't otherwise have happened. And the thing is, you can't, we sort of stress this to supporters of the game, you can't set up in a formation and attack and score if you don't trust chains of possession and move with the ball and get up the ground yourself. And then if you do turn it over, you look silly with your positioning sometimes, and there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's something that I think we need to take, and myself included at times, a breath, because there was a couple of passages of play where Brisbane sliced through us so quickly that my first reaction was to be, what the hell was that?
Yeah, where were we?
But then you realise, you stop, and exactly on your point you've just made, no, we are asking Geelong's, certainly their midfield, their wingers, even their running half-backs, their high half-forwards, to get on your bike and attack.
Challenge forward.
Yeah, you need to have somebody really working hard forward for us to get the type of play that's going to lead to us scoring. Yeah. And if we're going to ask players to do that and then we turn the ball over badly in a really bad part of the ground.
Against a team that can slice.
You are going to be opened up. So we can't throw it out and go, hey, everybody, nobody run forward now. When we get the ball, nobody run forward, nobody attack. We're just going to be set up for when they get the ball. Yeah. Well, then we end up scoring 45 points for the whole game.
We saw a bit of that kind of footy, no naming names, over the weekend, and it's not welcomed by the fans. So
no, it's not.
No, I think the guys they're all good. And again, so I sound like a massive fan, which I am. I'm a massive fan of this team. There is no, you have a bad loss. There's no effort question. There's no intent questioned. You look at Tom Atkins' performance, who wants it so badly. Even Jeremy Cameron was so pumped when he was trying everything to get the team back into it. And yeah, so as long as you've got that, you can be proud of, walking out there each week.
Yeah, and I think as we're hitting the bye week now, the way that the team has played and conducted itself every single week is of such a high quality that a game like that where we don't kick well, field kicking or kicking for goal, you go, okay, we can move on from that. It's different if this is a theme of 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row and you think, okay, we got a lot of things to fix. That's not the case here. We do head into a bye week, as does the Geelong VFL. Unfortunately, they're heading into the bye week having gone down to Brisbane as well by 32 points. Jack Bowe's really good, 33 touches, so great to see him get some form in the VFL coming back from that injury. So no doubt he will have a big part to play in the AFL team as we head into the back half of the year. Ted Closey really good as well with 22 touches and 2 goals.
It's a nice game, 22 and 2.
Very nice. They have the bye this week as well. And then obviously the following week in round 15, they play Richmond as well. But on Sunday, the 6th of July, here at GMHBA Stadium, 12:05 p.m. But we're going to celebrate a win from the weekend, Meg.
Around the W.
Yes, 100%. First game of the season, they knocked off Carlton comfortably, 42 points. Thank you very much.
First win of the season. Sadly, not the first game of the
Yes,
season. They've had a few until this point.
That's what I mean.
No, they were up and about and unreal. A bit like my old team, North Melbourne in the men's. They got done by Carlton not too long ago and were able to flip around. So I know Taylor, the coach of the VFLWs, helps out in our coaching in our program on occasion, and I spoke to her last week and she was saying the challenge of keeping messaging fresh and feeling like she was repeating herself when you're losing week on week and you're sort of trying to preach commitment and sticking to task and system and to have it pay off was really exciting for them. I see the skipper kicked 2 goals in Mel Staunton, as did Steph O'Kane and Bree Pratt. So they were pretty jubilant, I'd say.
Yeah, awesome result. A lot of reward for a lot of hard work there. Let's keep riding their performance into this week. It's going to be the only footy this week for the Catters. So this is against the Dogs on Saturday. So Saturday, 28th of June, the one coming at Deakin Uni Oval, 1:05 p.m. So get along and support the girls and hopefully make it back-to-back wins.
Training. Yeah, let's do that.
After your main training?
I reckon we'll be warming the ground up for them at Deakin early.
Good. We'll
go pub with that, guys. Come have a look.
Get down early then. Make sure Meg's working hard.
Doing my grid running.
What's the grid? Is that the rectangles?
We're doing we're doing the old run 50 metres in 10 seconds, wrestle for 10 seconds, run back.
It's got the wrestle as well. That sounds
wrestle,
fun.
the grapple, hitting the deck.
Well,
sorry, I gave away all our secrets then.
By the sounds of it, the AFLW squad is training very, very hard. The pre-season is in full swing, so make sure you've got your AFLW membership for season 2025. AFL members add-on starting at $25. So get yours now. So make sure buy your membership and then wander down to training this Saturday, and then you can definitely give Meg as much feedback as you like.
Yeah. We got to practice these kind of things, pressure during the pre-season, being under duress. So, that'll be important. I think we may well get some news on our practice games today, so that's
fantastic.
Exciting too.
All right, keep a lookout on the all the social media and the Geelong Cats website for that information. Hey, let's take a break. I want to get to a few few listener questions, and then I want to jump the bye and maybe look ahead towards the Richmond game. Winning a three-peat isn't easy, but at GMHBA Health Insurance, that's exactly what we've done. By winning the 2024 CanStar Outstanding Value Hospital Cover in Victoria 3 years running.
GMHBA have been caring for the Geelong community since 1934 and are proud supporters of the mighty Geelong Cats. Join at gmhba.com.au.
Welcome back to The Final Bell. We are proudly presented by GMHBA, the official health insurance partner of the Geelong Cats. Let's dive into a few questions if we could, Meg. We've got a few coming through here and a nice little, maybe a softer one for us to start off with. You're going to have to give me this insight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe I need the AFLW slant on this question.
Yeah.
This one's from Finn. Best golfer at the club?
Best golfer at the club. I know Jackie Parry and Claudia Gunjaka have lessons. Okay. Claudia has a lesson on occasion.
Does that mean she's good
though? I see the still photos of the backswing and I'm like, yeah, back you in.
Yeah, okay.
And she's my fellow key defender. So I do back her in. I would say it's going to take me 3 lessons and I'd be competitive.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Would you beat her after 3 lessons?
No, I reckon I could on occasion hit it further.
Okay.
When I connect on a drive, which is 1 in 10, the 18 holes I've played. What do the boys say?
Because in the day it was, so Tom Hawkins recently
I was
retired.
going to say, Tom Hawkins is...
Played all the time. Harry Taylor was an avid golfer.
But Hawk's very good. He's
I
very
think
good,
Hawk's
right?
very good, yeah. Who would be of the current line?
Jeremy?
Shannon Burns.
Really?
The great Shannon Burns.
There is golf set up in his office, in our PDM office. There's a little putter and a wedge.
Little chipping.
Wedge.
Okay, thank you, producer Jakey. And just on that note, maybe you could ask it for me. So we're not going to do the podcast next week. Then after that, for a 2-week block, I think by popular demand, Shannon Burns is going to join you as the co-host, quite possibly. Okay, we're waiting on management here.
Yeah. I can see it in his eyes that he's keen. He's probably one of those when he's in the Matt Rowell stage, would you say? He's wink, wink. No, we haven't.
And maybe some input from one of the original podcasters on this. Zach Toohey might be getting involved as well. I am ducking off for a couple of weeks. Sorry, Meg, to run away.
Please do it. You got to do what you got to do.
Going to visit my brother up in Newcastle, which will be
That's
nice.
Nice bit of surf.
Yes, so ask Burnsy if he comes on, if he's the best golfer at the club.
Obviously, Brad Close loves it. I don't know how good he is he? He's pretty good?
Yeah, pretty good.
I think the way, Jez at a driving range looks like pure.
Well, anything Jeremy Cameron does would be just pure and superb.
Growing up, my dad worked at North and he always used to say, he's like, these sports people, they're good at everything. They don't practice golf and they can just do it.
Yep, I think that's correct. Claudia, teammate Claudia?
Yeah, Claudia's heard that I didn't necessarily say she was the best. No, I didn't. Yeah, back when Gunj.
How important was the support from your family and friends when you started? That one is from Claudia. Obviously, from my perspective, Meg, incredibly important. And I give so much of my success to mum and dad and their support. Not just when I was in my teenage years and starting to play in a few, rep teams and travelling across the country, and they would drive me literally everywhere within the state of Victoria, interstate, whatever was needed, they would do it. From the young age, just they helped build an environment where I loved sport. I loved footy and the joy of coming here and sitting in the old Ross-Drew stand 2 rows from the. We had 3 seats in the old Ross-Drew stand, which was 2 seats from the boundary, and we had 2 seats in the back row of the Brownlow stand and was in the original wooden one before the last one. When I first started going, and mum and dad would just make those days special. Mum would send us off with a packed lunch of food and walking to the ground, everything like that. So it just helped cultivate a love of the Cats and of footy. And I'm sure at that age, not for 1 second did they think I or my brother or my sister were going to go on and play footy.
Legend of the football club.
But it was just a beautiful part of our family, was that joy of football.
Yeah, as you know, I didn't play footy when I was a kid so much, but the support of my sporting aspirations was every bit what you've just described. And I'd make more of a point of the ongoing support. Like, I'm now just probably my 10th year of playing football now, and when you're in your 30s, you got a whole load of different life demands, as does everyone else in your life. They've got families and kids, and I feel constantly aware of how much I tip into footy and try and lead and organise things and sort of deplete yourself of some of that energy sometimes for your family and friends. And so when they can continue to support you and probably lead in those aspects of life, and for example, organise the girls' weekend that I was speaking about, that I was going, I just turn up with the vibes. I'm continually appreciative of that. And both my sisters actually live overseas, and it always surprises me when they're like, I got up at 2 a.m. and watched the game. I'm like, did you? You really didn't need to do that, mates. But shout out, it's her birthday right as we speak in Banff in Canada. Yesterday here. But
beautiful. That is the magic.
Mum will listen to me saying that. I don't know if the 2 sisters are so supportive that they listen to our podcast every week, but we'll see.
I do with your mum. Does she?
Yes, she does listen.
Does she enjoy your football career?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And no, the reason I asked that is I've asked Mum and Dad in
Yeah.
reflection, did you enjoy it while I was at the Cats? And Mum's like, absolutely not.
Yeah, did you get the don't hurt yourself every
It was
game?
just stress. It was
Yeah.
worry. It was everything rolled into. She said, I loved the fact you were living your dream. Loved the fact you were happy and playing. But if you're asking for fun or enjoyment, she goes, no way. I had the binoculars on you permanently, just worried you were going to get your face smashed in and ended up with a fractured face like you did in a game, or you were going to get knocked out, whatever it was. She said there was nothing fun about the whole thing except for those 3 moments.
Yeah, when he went, I think more so than that. I'm sure she'll report back. But I play in a bit more space than you do, I think. I think, you know, being in the middle every single week might be a different matter. But I think she's moved away from the have fun, don't hurt yourself, or have fun, look after yourself messaging that I know a lot of people go with. Yeah, I think she enjoys it. What I love is seeing the translation of not really that into footy at AFL into supporting me into passionate Cat supporter.
Nice.
Like getting message during the game, loves the pod, and very astute with some of her questions, advice, feedback.
Very good.
Shout out, Mum.
Looking forward to some feedback on this podcast. Will has for us, Meg, have you seen the evolution? How have you seen the evolution of the tagger since Lingy's playing days? Thank you, Will.
Well, I didn't see this question. We had a little off-air chat just before. I'm going to have to get you to answer a question about yourself because it's not something I have a massive eye for. What do you reckon? You can, and don't be modest.
I won't.
There's tagging and then there's, looking after someone and captaining a premiership.
Thank you, Meg.
No worries.
Well, it's an interesting one because I often get asked about should you tag in modern football because a lot of teams will say, no, well, our midfield will take care of their midfield and structurally and all this sort of stuff. I still believe there's a place for it. The right time, as long as you've got the right person yourself to be a run-with-player, tagger type player, and also how important that opposition midfielder is to whatever the opposition are trying to do.
Yeah.
Think a Marcus Bontempelli for the Bulldogs. Think, any different one you want. But, I agree, Nick Dacos is one of those. So crucial to what so many other players need to do within their various teams. So, yes. However, you cannot have in the modern because we have formations and team defence and a lot of that stuff rather than the pure one-on-one everywhere on the ground type footy that was 20 years ago. You need somebody who is really smart in decision making about when to stay tight one-on-one, when to come off and help and actually be part of a formation and not just run blindly anywhere on the field. And you need somebody who's going to get the footy themselves. Yeah. You cannot be 100% negative and think, okay, I'm going to keep a Nick Dacos or a Marcus Bontempelli or someone like that to 22 touches and I'm going to get 3. Yeah. No, you've been beaten. Yeah. And you've been beaten badly. Yeah. If you want to look at the pure matchup, you have to still be smart enough in your decision-making, concentration, etc., to find the footy and help get your team going forward at the right time.
2 follow-up questions for you. One, was there any player, I look at Bond and I think, a player that is so good that you didn't bother? Like, all right, that is the untaggables. Did you play against anyone like that?
You're asking the competitive part of me there?
Yeah, I'm saying, you're welcome to say
no.
No, there's no one. Love that. Respect. And 2, how do you see what the Cats are doing this year in terms of, not a Windhager-esque who's the one who's getting spoken about this week, but Osh does a bit, Axe does a bit, Mark O'Connor does a bit, sometimes Blitz. So I did see some commentary a couple of weeks ago that said the Cats almost played 3 defensive roles or 3 taggers and that's their version of mid.
I think, okay, I'm going to talk specifically about Geelong. I won't weigh into what any other teams are doing. I love the fact that Oisin Mullen can come on and do a really good role when he's needed in the right matchup. He's starting to be able to attack more, which is fantastic. He doesn't carry on with any nonsense either, which I really like. He's just, okay, I'm playing on a really good player, ball's in a contest, I'm going to try and beat him in a contest, or at worst, I'm not going to let him get it and lock it down. Fantastic. Mark O'Connor does the same. Tom Atkins does it more around clearance stoppage type thing. I don't reckon it then spreads to everywhere on the ground. I love it because of the flexibility it provides. You don't have to do it every week. You don't even have to do it for an entire game. But at different portions in the game, you can, as a coaching group, identify that player is not just influencing the game massively himself. There are now 6 other opposition players who are influencing the game because of this one player. Yeah. If we have the flexibility to go, Osh, Mark, whoever it might be, Tom, for 10, 15, 20 minutes, let's go tight for a little bit and take his influence away, and maybe it removes 5 or 6 opposition players out of the influence as well. And then the rest of our systems wrestles the game back into our favour. Great. Now we're back away with the game we want in front of us, and we're playing our type of football. And then you can drop it if need be, or you can think, no, we need to hold that because of this, or that sort of flexibility that Geelong's built in with those players as an option, I think is excellent. Yeah,
and as you say, not one of them, not even Osh, who is relatively new to the game, is not running offensively when the opportunity presents itself. They will look to get involved when we've got the ball in control.
Yes, that's the big one. I think it's find the footy when you're up there. And both Osh and Mark in particular, one of the first ways a tagged player may try and drop a tag is to go from the midfield and drift forward.
Yeah.
And I must admit, more often than not, I would probably drop it and I would hand it over to a Corey Enright, or if it was Adam Goods I was playing on, a James Hurd, I'd hand it over to a Tom Harley or one of our defenders. I think Mark and Osh are so good defensively,
defending,
they can drift with that player and it doesn't become a lost matchup.
Yes.
So I think it works really well. So hopefully that answered it for you, Will. All right, let's do a quick little mid-season review. The best win so far, Meg?
Collingwood.
It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yes, I was thinking earlier as we've had some other. I reckon Adelaide Oval would have been awesome.
I reckon the Dogs win here was pretty sensational.
Oh yeah, wasn't it? We've had some good ones. I think
that Collingwood one would be number 1, except for the fact that we
almost lost it.
Yeah, we almost lost it.
No, that's true. But then I would have to go back and check the record. But I think we had a significant number of players out that game, right? I think our backline was pretty depleted. Stu was out. Was DK? Stewie, Henry.
Jack Henry would have been out,
yeah, some really great performance by some young guns, and Bulldogs here was great. So,
all right. Kaji later right now. I'm assuming it would come from one of Bailey Smith, Max Holmes, Tom Atkins, Jeremy Cameron.
Leading the Coleman. Yeah. One of those.
Early
Tom Atkins.
Well, I reckon 3 games in. Remind me when Jack Henry got injured. I would have said Jack Henry was number 1 and then got injured, obviously. So that's probably ruled him out of contention. But I would have thought purely for games played, Jack Henry's been pretty sensational.
No, all of those. Oh, we need a leader. Okay.
Leader just ahead, nose in front because of the top end votes, Max Holmes by a smidge. Oh,
all right,
a little quiet earlier. Maybe Bailey,
yeah.
Okay, we haven't fully answered that one. Sorry about that one.
Oopsies.
Most improved. Can you go from rising star winner to still most improved?
Most improved? That's a great point.
Given how dominant Ollie Dempsey's been on the wing.
I mean, he's created a new way of playing that position. Has he? Is that too big a call? Sorry, he's created a movement in 2025 of wings.
Attacking wingers.
Attacking wingers.
There was one guy.
I don't mean to pretend they've never ever done it before.
No, there was one guy.
Sorry.
There was one guy, and Geelong fans and myself included have tried to block this from our memory. He played this way, and that was Peter Matera.
Okay.
He tortured us in 92. But
before my time.
Chris Mainwaring would play on the other wing and play almost a defensive winger type roll around winger, and Matera had licence to run forward hard. Slightly different to the way Ollie plays it, but he's in that sort of attacking wing.
Yeah. I hope you won't mind me saying this because this was shared in a great Q&A that Ollie did recently with some of our 1 to 3 third year W players, and we were talking about breaking into the team. He'd obviously done his time in the VFL, and he came to the club relatively new to football. And we were asking about how he's evolved into being able to be such an expressive, attacking, fantastic wingman. And he spoke about showing the coach what they need or want before they know it. And he wasn't taking sole credit for the way that he plays, but I think it was a really great message for young footballers. It's how to know your role, but then to bring your own strengths to it, to say, hey, you could do it this way.
Yeah.
Like, look what I can do for you.
I love that.
Yeah, it was really cool the way he spoke about it.
Can I throw in a couple of honourable mentions for most improved? Mark O'Connor, I reckon, has gone to
he was going to be my
new level.
my last one, I think.
Sorry,
but
Meg.
no, yeah.
Sorry. All right, lead on to that. That was surprise
Connor
packet.
O'Sullivan's going pretty well. I mean, you're
good call.
improving from one game to now being a consistent member of the team. And I was thinking about Connor's game this morning, because you're looking at him thinking, I was thinking about it because I'm obviously still a player, and I look at our young players and I think you get so excited by the player that you know that they will be, that you then almost get impatient with them for the player that they are, because you're like, yeah, but you're going to be amazing. He's 19.
Yeah.
His movement's amazing.
No, I agree with you completely there.
So he's tracking very well.
I like it. So surprise packet was Mark O'Connor.
I think Mark O'Connor's finding new levels to his game. I'd be interested. Mark was part of that Q&A as well, and he spoke on similar themes. But I wonder how he'd react to the season that he's having. I wonder if this commentary around him, and whether it's a surprise packet or he's got most improved or he's gone to a new level, if that's how he thinks of his performance, because or if it's almost like, hey, I've been part of this team for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a good player.
Yeah.
Which is also true. But
I think it's definitely also true. I just feel like he's more composed and cleaner and finding a bit more of the
his
footy
confidence
and
is. Yeah. I agree. So
Can I is a surprise packet for me, captain of the club and 35 years of age, can it still be a surprise packet how incredibly well Paddy Dangerfield has adapted to playing as a permanent forward? Not that I should be surprised, I get that, but he's supposed to be in the twilight of his career.
But we talk about mids, that mid could retire forward or go forward, but not to be like the best forward. Maybe Jeremy Cameron's pretty good, but not to be the kind of forward that Danger's been at certain points this year. And to reach 350, I said this to him during the week, playing the way that he plays is outrageous. And to still run out in your 350th game, now it didn't ultimately happen, but in your 350th season and be like, I could produce a career best performance is crazy.
It's remarkable. It certainly is. Hopefully we've answered a few of those questions well. Really quickly, because I'm conscious of time, we've probably gone a little bit longer than producer Jakey wants us to.
Sorry, I was a bit late this morning. I was avoiding talking about a loss.
We're not going to have a podcast next week. Apologies, everyone. We're taking a little break with the bye. But I thought we'd jump ahead to the Richmond game really quickly.
Jumpy jump.
4:15 here on a Saturday, GMHBA Stadium. Amazingly, we played the Tigers twice. Before the end of the season. Obviously, this one round 17 and round 24.
Wow, bang.
Yeah, round 24 at the MCG. Richmond, they are in a different phase and a different build, but they've shown at times this season to be a really dangerous opposition when their senior players play well and strong around the ball, and then that youthful enthusiasm can run and attack and do everything like that. So coming out of the bye, it's probably an important mindset reset for the Cats guys to go, no matter what, we got to front up and play a serious brand of football to not let this young Richmond team get rolling at all. No,
it's a challenge, isn't it, when you there's an unpredictability to a team that's sometimes really on, sometimes off, and in their the developmental stage that they're at. I think the challenge is when you come in and you're playing a team who wants to run and play fast football like you do, to then separate yourself from a precision point of view and to sort of match that intensity but not fall into the chaos. Everyone's like, Cats love chaos football. The Cats love moving the ball fast and skillfully and predictably and having the options open up in front of them, but our precision is, when we play our best, is among the best. It
certainly is. Health-wise, and as I always say, check the health update. It'll be interesting to see who's available and who comes back with the bye being there to help a couple of players be ready to go. It feels like the depth will start building that's available. We mentioned a little bit earlier, Jack Bowes played VFL on the weekend, found a heap of the footy. 1 week back from his injury.
He got held over that week and then he played this one.
Yeah, so you'd think now with the bye week, another block of training under his belt, possibly someone who comes straight back in there. So as we now, you've got to start turning post-bye to ramp up towards the finals and the run at finals, start looking at that depth, but also a bit of competition for spots, which always keeps the group a little bit hungry.
The worst part of coaching, they say, but
you need it.
Necessary, necessary.
Very much.
I think it's also Chris Scott's 350th game as coach of the Cats. This week. The Richmond game? The Richmond game? Yeah, I think it is. So
okay, wow.
Another milestone.
Yeah, the milestones keep coming. Very, very exciting. Well, we won't celebrate that leading into it because we won't be doing a podcast next week. We will certainly celebrate it the week after. You and
because I don't think Scotty will. So
no,
we'll have to do it for him.
He'll want that one brushed over really quickly. You and perhaps Burnsy, maybe Zach Toohey, whoever it might be.
We'll ask him for his best Chris Scott stories.
Yes.
And then never play the recording.
I imagine Shannon Burns getting the message from Chris Scott, still being very calm and composed. Those messages, Scotty.
When did Burnsy retire?
He retired after going to Melbourne for a couple of years.
Oh, sorry. When was his last year at the Cats?
2011 was it?
Oh, so just one like you with under Scotty.
Yeah. No,
he was like, Lingy's not here. See you later.
I'm sure that wasn't the case. He was probably happy to be rid of me, Burnsy, and the constant. Hey, don't forget this. Oh, what if we focus on this? Hey, what about this, Burnsy? Remember this? Yeah. Oh, geez, I must have exhausted some people. That's exhausted the listeners enough now. We will get out of here. Thanks to everyone for listening. Obviously, not the result we wanted, but it is bye week. It is break time. Take that moment. Take a breath. Freshen up for a big launch into the back end of the year. You will be back in 2 weeks' time, Meg. I'll be back in about 3 weeks' time.
Have a great trip.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. Road trip with the boys.
How good.
Dodsey's not coming on the first half, but she's running the Gold Coast Marathon, and then she's going to meet us halfway.
So who's supporting her up there?
Somehow turned it into a 5-day trip with her friends and sister-in-law.
First marathon?
Second.
Okay.
And my boys have convinced me as part of the road trip that we are going to watch the Giants and the Cats game at NG Stadium. And I've said yes to that one. The silly things you say yes to.
Do you know what we should do, Jakey? We should request a memo from the boys. Just a little at-game,
a Ling Boys memo.
A Ling Boys memo for linguistics. Very quick from you. All right. From NG Stadium.
I will see what I can do. No promises, but I'll see what I can do. Okay. But Meg will be back in 2 weeks' time. I'll be back in a few weeks' time. Enjoy the break.
Let's do it.